Hey guys, Scott here again with a new beer dissection video. I got a classic here today, Sam Adams Boston Lager. Okay, as I've said on other videos, I do like to do some of the classic. Even though this is still technically craft beer, I know a lot of people consider it macro because Sam Adams. I think they started around 1984, and you've heard me saying it if you've watched more than two or three of my videos that Sam Adams in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, kind of got me introduced into a little bit of craft beer at the time. And Boston Lager as well as Boston Ale, I think, were one of the first couple of beers. But I like to do some of these, bigger brewery type of beers as well as some of the smaller, nano microbreweries that are producing, smaller amount of hectoliters of beer. So, Boston Lager, many of you have had. Why I give credit to some of these breweries is that they've been brewing this beer probably at least, I'm going to say 30 years, if not longer. And it's always consistent. Now, Boston Lager, actually, I shouldn't say that. I had that last month when I was doing the beers for Cheers. So, of course, they sell it in 6-packs. They sell it in 12 packs, very easy to get all over the country, whether you're in California, whether you're in New York. Most recently, I got this one from the Gameday 12-pack variety pack, which I've done a few reviews on that. Beers for Cheer. So you'll see this a lot in a lot of their compilation beer packs that they have. This is being advertised as a Vienna style lager. Which is kind of interesting because they use two-row malt and some caramel malt, 60L, which means Lovabond. The darker the L or the Lovabond, the darker the beer will be. And the reason why I say it's kind of strange they call it a Vienna-style lager because I would expect they'd use some Vienna malt in there, but they don't. But they're using Hallertauer Mittelfrüh and Tettnang hops, which are classic German noble hops. So we're going to be expecting still some of that spicy floral aroma. So even though I've had this beer probably about a month ago, and I've had it sporadically over the years, this is not one of the ones that's been like 3, 4, 5, 6 years. I don't think I've ever really analyzed it and really, took it in. Sometimes you want to, at least in my life with beer, I'll sip beer, I'll smell it, I'll analyze it, maybe not as thorough as I do on these videos. But then sometimes there's just times you just want to have a beer, and maybe more than one, without actually having to analyze it. And Boston Lager is one of those. And there are other reasons. One of my pet peeves, even though I've done a video specifically on pet peeves and myths and stuff, is that sometimes people think that just because a beer's been around for a while, they kind of poo-poo it and blow it off. Just like I grew up near the beach most of my life. You always say, I can always go to the beach. I can always go to the beach. And a day goes by, a month, a year, and you're like, wait, I haven't gone to the beach in a while. You get some of these really well-made beers that have been around for a while. People kind of stick their nose up at it and say, it's not craft anymore. And it's Boston Lager. It sucks or whatever. And especially when I notice when they use German noble hops because it kind of gives that familiar spicy, floral, herbal kind of character. And people assimilate that with some of the beers they drank in college because they maybe use some similar type of hops, even though the beers are completely different. So Boston Lager has always been a good standby. So probably a little more than I wanted to discuss about the history of it, but these are important things I like to bring up as I discuss a lot of the beers. So Boston Lager, besides just talking about the beer, I like to, just talk about some of the basic stuff that goes on and discussions that I see on Facebook and social media with beer, and just some trends that I see that people make or when they make their beer selections. So a beer like this, I'm using my my home brewing shaker pint. This, a tool will work fine if you want to get a little bit more of the herbal and malt aromas. Shaker pint will work fine with this style of beer, a nonic pint, tulip pint. Type of glass. But again, I'm going to just use my shaker pint for my brewing company, which is really my home brewing company, for the fun that I've had with that. So anyway, let's open this guy up. All right. You might been home brewing for a long time, and Sam Adams bottles were always very popular in the early 90s because, when we do home brewing, you can't use the screw-off tops. You have to use the regular top here. So at the time, Sam Adams, maybe Pete's Wicked Ale, Sierra Nevada were the only ones that had they can actually put a bottle cap on there. We'd compress it on there. Because you can't do screw off because you have to kind of keep a little pressure for the carbonation. But anyway, let's talk about this one. So we got perfectly, you can almost see me through the beer. Perfectly clear beer, no chill haze. We'll say it's a light amber color. Nice head on there. Beige, maybe a light tan beige. About 2 inches of foam there. Looks like it's going to hold up pretty well during the course of recording this video. So let's take a whiff of this. Okay. So no doubt you're in Germany or a German type of hops because you definitely get that herbal, floral type of, even perfumey type of aroma from the hops. Malt-wise on the nose, breadcrumb toast, a light toast, graham cracker type of malt profile on the nose. Maybe like a light caramel. I mean, caramel malt is synonymous with crystal malt, so they are using a probably decent amount of it. Again, 60 Lovibond, so that's what probably is giving it mostly the color here that we have. So, but yeah, really nice though. Again, that's why I said this is not going to jump. This type of beer isn't going to jump out at you for originality. But it is well made, it is consistent. If you do home brew and you're watching this, one of the things as a home brewer I've always appreciated is these breweries just doing consistent beer batch after batch. And even though there's computers now and they have the recipes down to the gram or whatever it is, it's just amazing that there's other things like fermentation control and things like that they have nailed down, that you can probably pick up this beer, whether it's here on Long Island or in California, and it smells and tastes the same as long as it's been handled properly. So again, you take one more sniff of it here. So yeah, you get that light caramel, toast, bread crust, kind of a little sweet on the nose too. Yeah, so anyway, cheers guys. Let's take a swig of this. Same thing on the palate, medium carbonated, kind of medium to light, medium low body. You get that herbal, floral hop flavor in there, like you did on the nose. But without a doubt, you get that kind of that toasty malt. Not caramel like you're eating a caramel candy or you're drinking a wee heavy, but just a subtle caramel, like I said, toast, maybe a slight nuttiness to it in the aftertaste, and then as well as kind of a graham cracker. But this is pretty fresh. Again, who knows which brewery is brewing this, because this one actually says looks like a Pennsylvania, Ohio, Boston Beer Company, Boston, Massachusetts, Cincinnati, and in Pennsylvania. So, I don't live too far from all those locations, and I think they have a enjoy before month notched, so before May of 2023. So this is pretty fresh, and you can tell looking and tasting it. So again, kind of that herbal floral hop flavor on the aroma on the nose, kind of that toasted bread crust, maybe even like a brioche, a light brioche, challah bread crust type of malt aroma, which is very nice, very pleasant beer. Again, this is, I think, a good standard beer that you won't be disappointed with, especially if you're consuming some beers in volume. A beer like this, I love with the typical, it was in the Gameday batch, 12-pack. you know, can go with almost anything. Wings, pizza, light chicken dishes. The only thing that would probably blow it away is really deep, like slow cooked brisket with heavy barbecue sauces and stuff like that. Maybe, but I still think there's enough bitterness here. Again, I didn't really talk about the bitterness. Now it's kind of a moderate bitterness. I don't know if I wrote down the IBUs. Yeah, about 30 IBUs. So we're sitting in German Pilsner territory. So there's enough bitterness, carbonation to cut through a lot of things. So, you know, you probably could use it in those deeper braised beef dishes and stuff like that. You know, Asiago cheese, maybe Gouda, if you're looking for cheese pairings. But a good old-fashioned barbecue tailgate type of beer. And again, it's so consistent that, you know, I'm not going to rank this. You know, if I gave it a ranking compared to all beers, you know, C+, you know, B-. But compared to Vienna lagers and just general consistency of this beer, you know, I bring it up to like, you know, good B+, style of beer, especially with Vienna lagers versus your Modelo, some of your Mexican lagers, which are based upon Vienna lager. Like if you're, I would take this over a Dos Equis Amber or a Modelo Dark any day. So again, Sam Adams Boston Lager. Nothing, you know, brand new about this beer. Most of you have probably had it. Maybe you haven't had it in a while, but I would revisit it. You know, if you're not quite sure what you want to buy, or you just, you know, a good general beer to have in the refrigerator, everyday drinking beer, and something I have periodically. But this one's very fresh. You could tell. But if you've had fresh malt from one of your local microbreweries and then had this, you know, I could tell it's been handled pretty well. It's pretty fresh, even confirmed from the date. So again, guys, Sam Adams Boston Lager. Nothing novel. If you haven't had it in a while and you get that 12-pack, I would have no problem drinking this. But again, I you know, snicker a little bit, maybe get a little snarky on people who kind of put down beers like this because they've been around for so long, so readily available that sometimes it gets pushed to the back. But these are pretty financially, you know, moderate to low. You know, you can get these beers pretty cheap. But I don't think it's really cheaply made. And you can even see we got some nice rings on my glass here and even the little heads left here. All right, guys, so have a good one to my next beer dissection video. Sam Adams Boston Lager, you know, good consistent beer day in, day out. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.